Hello, Internet. Nautical Tank coming at you from the quiet area of my secret sound studio. And today I have my open fire review of Uncharted 4, as timely as ever, only 3 months after the game's release. And what do I have to say about it? Well, this is going to be a long one, so sit down and let's get right to it. Where do I even start with Uncharted 4? I've been a die-hard fan of the male Tomb Raider, aka the female Indiana Jones, for as long as the series has been running. Now, contrary to most fans of the series, I think that each game has gotten better as the entries have progressed. Uncharted 4 is no exception to this. This is absolutely the definitive Uncharted experience, and it's one hell of a ride. The game picks up right after the events of Uncharted 3. Drake has retired from his adventurous life and has now settled down with his wife, Elena, from the previous games. Now, even though there's not much action in the first few hours of the game, it's an absolutely amazing portrayal of what his life would have been had he been a family man. The scene where Elena and Drake are just existing in their own home, eating dinner, is so realistic. I actually had my fiance watch the scene, and she was able to compare our own life to how they were acting together. The voice acting and animation is just flawless throughout the entire game, and it never feels dull or forced. You'll see this that even in the chit-chat between Drake and the cast, when they're just walking about, is excellent, and it brings this sense of realism into the game that has not been seen before. Alrighty, I'm getting a little off track here. Anyway, the game really picks up when Sam, Drake's brother, shows up and gets him wrapped into this adventure looking for pirate gold, Captain Avery's gold to be specific, that they dreamed about as children. Now, I don't want to give too much of the plot away, as this game is well worth the playthrough just for the story alone, but this is going to bring you all around the globe, from Scotland to Africa, tropical islands in the middle of the ocean, and mountainous peaks that are going to make your stomach just sink when you look over the cliff edges. From start to finish, the scenery in this game is going to leave your jaw sitting on the floor, so make sure you grab yourself a drool plate, because you're going to be doing it quite a lot. Now, we all know that Naughty Dog is capable of writing some awesome stories, there's no doubt there. But a lot of games that get really heavy into story, their gameplay starts to suffer. That's absolutely not the case here. Not only do we have the classic Uncharted third-person shooting sections and Assassin's Creed-esque traversal, they treat us to these new mechanics as well. My personal favorite being the grappling hook. The hook always seamlessly transitions you from combat to platforming. It even allows you to run and gun across larger battlefields instead of getting locked into cover and just rolling from point A to B like we saw in the previous games. They've also, for the first time, added a true free-form vehicle section, which are absolutely not to be overlooked. With the more open-style levels that they've created for us, you're actually able to explore the environments. The prime example being when you get to Africa for the first time, you're treated to this open, large landscape, more than likely the largest that we've ever seen in the Uncharted universe to date. But with so many hidden treasures to find, you can spend hours just walking around, or driving the four-wheel drive anyway. Now, not only do these open levels give you more exploring to do, but it brings a whole new approach to combat. Now, you can still charge in guns blazing, but almost every encounter you can scout the area and use the game's very smooth stealth system to mark your enemies, hide in the tall grass, take them out quietly, or you can avoid the combat at all. You can walk completely around some engagements, which brings this whole new level of playstyle to the Uncharted franchise. Now, I'm gonna give a disclaimer here. If you're one to get heavily invested into characters, this game will have you glued to your couch from start to finish. It's so engaging. Having known most of the cast for so long, you really find yourself hoping that everyone makes it through this experience, and be prepared for some tense moments between Drake and Elena. After all, not all can be perfect in paradise, right? Let's just say there's certain cutscenes that involve some really heartfelt dialogue between them, and it's followed by some beautifully crafted music. In a slow-paced part of the game, it's going to leave you speechless. Kind of like the first 15 minutes of The Last of Us, it just hits you like a brick wall of emotion.
I'm thinking that you're lucky that I found you when I did.
Now, multiplayer also makes a return as well, and surprisingly, quite like Uncharted 2, it doesn't just feel like an obligatory, tacked-on multiplayer mode that a lot of games have. 3 months after its release, the community is still going very strong. It's quick to get into a match, and they've also added more maps, a new leveling system, and items free of charge to you to the already great base multiplayer. The match modes, they're still pretty cliche, I'm not gonna lie. Nothing too amazing. You have a basic team deathmatch mode, a capture the flag type mode, and a conquest domination style mode as well. There's another one in there too, but I haven't touched it yet, so I can't talk on it. Now, if you feel like taking a break from first-person shooters and want to keep yourself wrapped in the world of Uncharted, this is still a great addition after you've beaten the core game. Now, even though I can sing praises about this game all day long, it's certainly not without faults. None of them too distracting from the core gameplay, which is great. Oddly enough, my biggest problem with this game is that at certain moments it begins to drag on. There are certain levels nearing the end of the game that could have been just as effective had they only been half as long as they were. After the first 20 minutes of being in the same dimly lit cave with traps, you start to want to move on to a different area, both to progress the plot and to get to a more impressive and immersive setting. If you really want to be nitpicky, you can complain, and people have, that it's 2016 and the game does not have a 60 frames per second frame rate. But honestly, I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me here, but I'm fine with 30 frames per second. As long as it stays there and doesn't dip when the game gets heavy. In this game, I never saw a single frame rate drop, believe it or not. Overall, I personally think the game should be a technical standard for games releasing at this point in time. Every game should strive for this level of quality and performance. Unlike other games, Homefront Revolution, I'm looking at you. But that's another topic, we'll get there one day. In the end, this game gets a very high 9 out of 10. It's an absolutely amazing game and a must-play for fans of the genre and the series. However, if you're looking for a different type of experience from the previous trio of Uncharted games, I'm gonna warn you, you're getting into more of the same from Naughty Dog. And by more, it's about a 20-hour experience, definitely the longest we've seen in the franchise. Either way, it's definitely worth a play, even at the full retail price of $60 if you're buying it new. And if you haven't been introduced to the series, I can say, buy the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection on PlayStation 4. It's beautifully remastered, it's 60 frames a second, and it is a great storyline and a great value for your dollar. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for joining me on my review of Uncharted 4. Now, let me know down in the comments if there's something else you'd like to see or hear in these reviews from me. Now, I try to keep them spoiler-free, so I try to avoid most of the story elements, because for the games like this, they're definitely worth avoiding. Anyway, leave a comment down